Thank you. My name is Jewel Kelly, and I am running for the U.S. Senate because too many people are suffering, and we can no longer stand by. Why are we here? You'll get asked that question. Why would someone come out in this heat on Independence Day? Well, I'll tell you why. It's really two reasons. On June 24th, 2022, the Supreme Court of this United States overturned Roe versus Wade. That's why we're here. And when they did that, they took away our constitutional right to have an abortion. The second reason why we're here is because the Supreme Court punted the protection of privacy, bodily autonomy, reproductive freedom to the states. In Illinois, abortions are still legal. But in Missouri, except for limited medical necessity cases, it's illegal. So the Supreme Court punted it to the states. So what I'm here to talk to you about is why I'm running and why you and I need to fight and how we will fight. So I'll start with my own personal story. Everyone here has a story.
Amen.
And later on, after we finish the march, you'll get a chance, hopefully, to tell your story if you're comfortable with telling your story. Everyone has a story. So let me tell you my story real quick, and then I'll tell you how we're going to fight back. For those of you who don't know, I am the eldest of 18 brothers and sisters by the same parents. That's 18. And as you would expect, they consider themselves pro-life. But listen to me and listen to me clearly. This is what I told my mom. I said, Mom, you had a choice. And I thank God you had a choice and made the choice to bring us into this world. But I have a 19-year-old daughter, and I have a 25-year-old bonus daughter. And we lost a 17-and-a-half Cameron in 2008, and I'll talk about her a little bit. But they don't have that right that you have. My 19-year-old daughter doesn't have that right. So that's why I'm here.
That's right.
Now, what makes me qualified to run for the U.S. Senate? 20 years ago, and I can't believe it's been 20 years, I raised my right hand to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I joined 2 months after 9/11. I served 10 years. I deployed twice in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. After my 10 years of military service, I got hired by a company that made CT, MR, X-ray machines in the hospitals. They also made the ventilators that were used during the pandemic. So I have 10 years of corporate experience along with my military experience. In addition to that, my wife and I, Karen Kelly, thank you for coming, we're realtors. So I have small business experience. And then last but not least, my wife and I are the co-founders of a nonprofit organization called A Fighting Chance that focuses on mental health and suicide prevention. And let me just pause right now and say this. It is okay to not be okay with what's going on right now. We know that mental health is even more important. Tragically, in 2018, we lost Cameron to suicide. And when she did, we went through 4 stages of grief. Shock of her death. Anger as to how did we miss the signs. Depression that her body is gone forever, but her spirit is still here. And lastly, the 4th stage, acceptance. Nothing is going to change unless we change.
That's right.
Now, we didn't suffer alone. And mental health is extremely important. But America went through 4 stages of grief. America went through shock, anger, depression, and then the 4th stage, acceptance. You remember where you were 2 years ago when you saw George Floyd being handcuffed, face down, with the police officer with his hands in his pocket and his sunglasses on the top of his head. You remember where you were. The world was shocked. Matter of fact, some of you stood right here when I spoke about that 2 years ago. America also went through the 2nd stage of grief. There was a thing called COVID. We saw 10, 100, 1,000, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, over 1 million people died. And it wasn't just that they died, it's that they died oftentimes alone. Yes. They died alone. Yes. And what made it worse was it was because of our politics. Whether or not COVID was real, whether or not the vaccine was real, whether or not to wear a mask, America went through that second stage of depression. And then the third stage, January 6th. I told you 20 years ago, I raised my right hand to defend this country against all enemies. 20 years ago, the enemy was formed. It was Al-Qaeda, it was the Taliban. January 6th, the enemy was domestic. And we saw an American flag being used to assault police officers. And we saw a Confederate flag being dragged through our Capitol. I've never been so angry until June 24th. Because on June 24th, our constitutional right to bodily autonomy was taken away. So that's the fourth stage, acceptance. Nothing is going to change unless we change. So what do we do about it? We do two things. We organize and we vote. And that's what you guys are doing right here. Now, in terms of voting, we have a registration booth set up, so those who are not registered to vote by July 6th can do so. That's Wednesday, folks. Wednesday. If you don't register to vote by Wednesday, you cannot vote for the primary. However, the big election is November 8th. So you still have until October the 12th to get registered to vote if you miss the deadline on July 6th, right? So the first thing we got to do is vote. But we just can't vote. We have to organize. Here's one thing that I used to say I don't say anymore. I used to say, if you didn't vote, shut up. I don't say that anymore. You know why? You can't vote if you have no one to vote for. I'm running as a Democratic candidate in Jefferson County and through many counties in Missouri. There is no Democratic candidate on the ballot. How can you vote if you have no one to vote for? That's why we got to organize, right? Now, here's something that I'll say. It might be controversial, it might not. But do not argue with people who are not arguing fairly. I want to say this again. Don't argue, delete, and block. And here's why. Here's why. I probably have over 1,000 negative, hateful, bigoted comments directed toward me, right, as a political candidate. I deserve it. I'm running for political office, okay? But here's the thing. They would love nothing more than to see me be blocked on social media, because then I can't share. I can't organize. It is the most effective way to organize here in America, right? So they are intentionally trying to get me blocked. They're intentionally trying to get you blocked too. Because if you're blocked, you can't share when the deadlines to vote are. You can't share your story. Don't argue, organize, okay? Organize, delete, and block. They have no intention of having a rational conversation. None at all, all right? So it's on us to organize, it's on us to vote. And thank God you guys are here, because you are the tip of the spear. You're the tip. Your assignment is for everyone here. You gotta find three or four more folks to bring to the polls. We have to do this again, and we can't give up. We have to insist on our fundamental rights. We have to resist the urge to argue, and we have to persist until we get our reproductive rights, bodily autonomy, privacy restored into law. That's what it's about. It's not just about removing the ban. It has to be codified into law so that no other Supreme Court and no other state politician can take away something that is a constitutional right. So in closing, we are one nation. We are one race, the human race. We have one standard, justice, security, equality. Have no fear. There is no fear in love. Let's roll. Thank you.